Hey, foodies, it's Alex and Hannah. We have another Weigh In Wednesday for you, and we are talking all about probiotics. So probiotics, you've heard about them for years now. I feel like they really took off maybe 10 years ago or so. And so we're trying to understand the good reasons for good bacteria in our gut. So Hannah, we both know that there's a lot of good bacteria in our food. There's good bacteria even in our environment. But when we're looking at specifically people that should supplement or need the extra support or a little extra help with probiotics, who are those people? Who needs like daily consistent help?
Yeah, and I know that you both you and I would agree that not everybody needs a probiotic all the time, but there are specific, like, periods in our life or populations that would benefit from having it. And I would say there's a few. So one would be if your immune system is compromised, whether that's due to stress, or let's say you're not really getting a lot of sleep, or maybe you're traveling a lot. During those specific times, having a probiotic is really helpful. Beyond that, I would say people who are maybe taking a lot of medications or are on some type of hormonal birth control. Both of those scenarios actually does change the environment of the bacteria in our colon towards the bad stuff. So we want to bring in more of the good. And then for those people who maybe do have some kind of like autoimmune, seasonal allergies, or
Sure.
ongoing gut issues. So maybe you're dealing with constipation, or acid reflux, or bloating, or constipation, like any of those things, using a probiotic to help is
Yeah.
really going to be beneficial.
Yeah, it's interesting because even just hearing you talk about that, like this is something that you and I just converse about, right? We converse about hormonal issues and gut health, and it just like flies off our tongue. And
Yeah.
some people think of probiotics and they only think about poop or they only think about your gut health, right? And so that's just a good reminder that there's a lot of other things in people's lives that can play a factor, play a role in what their gut health looks like. So yeah, good points. Just on the fact that there's more than just what's happening internally or in your colon that really plays a part of that good bacteria. Because,
Right.
like you mentioned, good bacteria helps our immune system, and if we're also immune focused right now, we want to be able to get good support without feeling like we have to always go like medication heavy or immunosuppressant. We want to really support how our body can fight.
Right. And on top of that too, like if somebody's been taking like any kind of NSAID for a very long time,
Yeah.
using a
So like
probiotic.
ibuprofen, you're talking like that kind of thing.
Right, yeah, like any
Yeah.
of those types of things, naproxen, Aleve, whatever that is, all of
Hmm.
those things are going to dampen the population of the good bacteria. And when our
Yeah.
bacteria is skewed towards favor of the bad, it's very inflammatory. And so if somebody is inflamed, it's going to be really hard for them to fire on all cylinders with in mental in a physical state. So
Yeah.
if we want to achieve our goals from a health perspective, we cannot have inflammation around, and so probiotics is something that can help bring that down.
Yeah. And are you taking a probiotic currently? Like, do you take one that you're,
Yeah, I am. I've kind of played with a few, and I know for me, there are certain strains that actually do promote histamine for people. Now, if you're somebody who has a lot of seasonal allergies, you probably have a histamine issue. Now, we can talk about this in one-on-one sessions as well, but
yeah.
I
Yeah.
found one that actually doesn't have the strains in it that promote histamine, and that one is by Seeking Health. So I refrigerate this one. It's called Probiota Histamine X. And I've been taking this actually not too long now. So I just take one capsule a day on an
Yeah.
empty stomach, whether that's before bed, if
Hmm.
I haven't eaten for a few hours, or right away in the morning. And I would say in general, I really like it. I've tried a few. Another one I know that we commonly recommend is the orthomolecular orthobiotic. And
Yeah.
we both really, really like that one for a lot of people too, just because the
Yeah.
amount of strains and the amount of CFUs, or colony forming units, within it.
Right. And like it's pretty general. Like it covers a lot of the general. So when you're looking for something more specific, that Seeking Health is perfect. So there's a lot of reasons to really get more strain specific, which is a whole nother way of customizing for each individual. So I'm glad you brought that up. But let's also talk maybe about if people aren't wanting to just pop another pill or they don't want to focus just upon probiotic supplements, how do we get probiotics in food? And when you are asked, all right, Hannah, what are those things like top of your mind when clients are asking you what foods have probiotics? What are the first couple of foods that you're telling them?
anything fermented. So
Yeah.
kombucha is fantastic. Kimchi or sauerkraut is really good. Even a yogurt, like if you could find a good whole milk organic yogurt, grass fed if possible,
Hmm.
those things, and you actually don't need a really like big dose. So you certainly don't need to overdo it, but even just like small amounts. So if it was like
Yeah.
4 ounces of kombucha, maybe every other day or something,
Yeah.
those
Right.
are really beneficial. The reason why we do a probiotic is you're going to get like a more consistent dosage. And if
Hmm.
you don't like those fermented foods, then this would be the option. But for those people who do like fermented foods, I
Right.
always recommend those.
Yeah, totally. I I happen to just enjoy sauerkraut and kimchi. Not everybody likes the flavor of it, but there's something to be said about how that bitter or slightly sour flavor, how it plays off if you're a person that like craves sugar all the time. It's actually good to have that balancing effect because it helps with habits and behaviors that maybe you don't always feel when you have a actual supplement.
Right.
But as you can see, I'm always like Costco size. This is our sauerkraut. Look at, I'm almost out. That's definitely a lot of juice in there still. But totally Costco size. You want something that's actually fermented. If you ever see vinegar on the label, that's more like a pickled kraut versus an actual fermented. But yeah, sauerkraut's kind of the easiest place to start. Once you say, most people are like, all right, I can identify sauerkraut. It's summer. I can have sauerkraut with my brat.
Right.
But other like if there's other ways you would put sauerkraut or even kimchi in, how else would you either sneak it in or do you eat any of those? What are some ways that you're eating?
So salads
Or
is,
kombucha?
or if you were to do like some kind of like a nourish bowl, like people call it sometimes,
Yeah,
you do like
yeah.
grains and then you do your own protein and then it's something that you can add. Um, So that's really good. Another option too, we have a really great recipe for our kimchi chicken salad. And everybody kind of is like, ooh, I don't know, that seems kind of weird. Everybody
Yeah,
loves it. It's so
yeah,
good. And
yeah, I agree.
so that's another way too to kind of like sneak it in. Plus it
Hmm.
adds, like Alex said, it adds like a more like almost like bright, like crunchy flavor. So especially in
Hmm.
the summer, it's like it's great.
Yeah, I think like you said, the perfect word is sneak. Sometimes you don't just have to take like gobs and spoonfuls of kimchi or kraut. And the best thing is there's like different flavors now from like a Farmhouse Culture brand is or a Spirit Creek Farm. Those are really great brands that are bringing in Thai flavors and different spicy options, or they're pickling carrots. Lots of different types and styles. So you can, like you said, just throw them into your normal salad that has your same favorite dressing and same veggies, and you don't always notice it. Or if you do, it's just a little tang.
Right.
So I think that's really, really smart. Really good way to sneak it
And
in.
it's interesting. I don't currently have a protein powder, otherwise I'd show you, but there's actually protein powders, like Garden of Life, I know is one. They actually do put probiotic blends in their powder. Um,
Yeah.
and I know, Alex, you have an example too that you brought
Oh yeah.
with the
Yeah.
dynamic greens that has a probiotic blend and digestive. And
Right. Right. So it's another form of if you were thinking, I don't want to be taking a pill or I don't like swallowing things, this is a way it's blended with all those dehydrated fruits and greens. So we've got broccoli root powder, we've got beetroot, all these things that we can add and get that probiotic blend in. And then you're getting all the prebiotics connected to it. And prebiotics feed the probiotics, feed the bacteria. That's the fiber that can help feed it. Another option that we've been liking around here since COVID started, this is kind of like we've got a once a week, everybody takes a shot. I wish I could do it more, but we just keep it once a week. Have you ever seen these before? These little suja, these are immunity shots.
those are good.
Yeah, it's fun. So it's like pineapple juice, ginger, turmeric, echinacea, and then you've got a few different strains put in here of probiotics. So another like somewhat foodish way of getting it in. But it still feels kind of like ham supplementing versus having to cook with it. So you can get creative. There's lots of, I think the market right now realizes the demand, right?
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that that's a trend. I don't think this is going away. Um,
Yeah,
So,
right, right.
especially if you are one of those people that we mentioned at the very beginning of this video, I think it would be helpful to put a little bit more focus on that. But let's say that digestively you feel good, your immune system is generally strong, and you don't necessarily have an inflammation issue that you know of. These things would still be beneficial to add in. It's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
just like if you prefer the flavor or if you like the flavor. It's not going to hurt you to take it,
right.
but it certainly will support or benefit.
Yeah, love it. I think there's lots of reasons for it and lots of ways to get it in. So whenever we can help any of our foodies find a way to make it work for them, or if they've ever had negative effects, like there's definitely different lanes. It's not everybody goes into this one probiotic lane. We've got different layers for everybody. So I know that you and I both love to figure out the correct lane. And so everybody listening, let us know if you need a little help. Otherwise, keep in mind there's a lot of creative ways. You've got kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, fermented pickles, you've got fermented carrots, so
Yogurt.
many ways, yeah, to really maximize what's happening for your gut health, because your gut health leads to better hormones, leads to better metabolism, controlled inflammation, and a better immune system. So probiotics for the win.
For the win.
For the win.
All right, guys, we will see you on Friday for Focus Friday.
Yeah.
And then our coffee hour on Saturday at 8, which we'll remind you in the email as well. But thanks for joining today.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.